The Death God's Daily Troubles by MagicalDucky. Chapter 11. Welcome to Ancient Alchemy 101. Royal Academy. Headmistress's office. Kyle's point of view. I opened the door and entered the office as the sound of pages being flopped echoed through the room. Sitting behind her desk, Marie marked the last of the renovation documents with the Royal Academy's seal before tossing them to the side and calling out to me.
Kai, did you finish double-checking all the facilities?
Yes, I finished it about 10 minutes ago. Anyway, since I was already down there, here, I got your tea.
Thank you.
I placed the cup of chamomile tea in front of Marie and sat down in the chair across from her, as she slumped her upper body over her desk to let out a sigh. The morning sunlight illuminated the office, and I slouched backwards in the chair while staring out the window to see the slow trickle of students walking onto campus while the faint sound of the birds chirping outside was drowned out by my sigh. Marie got up off her desk again and took a sip of her tea before complaining to me.
Finally, we're done with everything. Seriously, it's way too much. Even with you here, we'll get through the brunt of it, but still barely finished in time.
Well, it's your own damn fault for lazing around so much the last week. Do you know how much extra paperwork I had to sort through because you kept taking breaks every 2 hours? We probably would have finished it yesterday if you just actually tried to do your work.
But why would I try then? And I have a handy-dandy assistant right here to try it for me.
Marie gave me a lazy smile and leaned back into her chair again before beckoning me to come over.
Anyway, since we're finally finished, give me a massage. I think I slept funny last night, so my back is really stiff right now, and I have to go give the opening speech in 2 hours, too.
Your back is stiff every day. Are you sure your bed isn't a rock? What kind of office assistant gives their boss a daily back rub anyway?
Well, you're not quite an office assistant. You're more like a personal assistant. And as my personal assistant, your job is to make sure I'm in tip-top condition for important events, like, for example, the opening ceremony in 2 hours.
You know what? I don't care anymore. Just let me get it over with. After the ceremony, I still have to teach too, so please at least give me a little break before classes start.
All right, I'll give you a break after this, so come on.
Marie stretched a little and leaned her upper body over onto the desk again. As I got up and walked over to give her a massage before sighing, my hands moved over to her back and began to delicately apply pressure along her spine. As Marie's gave out a blissful sigh, I used my fingers to push against her soft skin under her clothes for a few minutes before Marie inadvertently let out a satisfied moan. I know I've already asked you this before, but can you not let out the erotic moans whenever I give you a massage, especially since there are people in the building now? If anyone overhears this, I'm sure the city guard will be here in a few minutes to arrest Lalikon.
Well, who told you to be so good at giving massages? You always use the perfect amount of strength, and it feels heavenly when you press on just the right spot. The stiffness just melts away, and I can't help but let out my voice.
Why does everyone I do have to eventually end up screwing me over someday? Of course I use the perfect amount of strength every time. If I couldn't control my strength so precisely, I would have ended up snapping your spine like a twig the moment I applied any pressure. Back when I first imbued myself with the natural laws, I had to train intensely to perfectly control every part of my abnormal body. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be able to walk. Every step I took would have crushed the ground under my feet and shot me forward hundreds of feet. What happened the first time I gave you a massage then? You didn't let out sounds then. Marie's face tinted a little pink before she muttered in a quiet voice.
Well, the first time was a little embarrassing, so I held my voice in such a way that as I could and I tried to ignore all the feelings in my body until eventually I fell asleep.
If you thought it was embarrassing, why are you doing it so brazenly now, then?
You didn't say anything then. I couldn't hold it any more, and the second time let my voice slip out. So I thought you were okay with it.
You just moaned randomly, out of nowhere. What was I supposed to say? Hey, excuse me, could you not lewdly moan? I'm afraid I'll get registered as a lolicon in the sex offenders database. Yeah, that definitely would have made an atmosphere 10 times more awkward than it already was.
Well, it's already too late for regrets. I'm already used to letting my voice out, so you'll have to deal with it. Besides, everyone else should be making last-minute checks on their department, and I already told Professor Barlam to set up everything for you beforehand. Since you were helping me, there's no one around, so don't worry. Anyway, I'm sure that my reputation would be impeached a lot more than yours.
Marie had to blush on her face a little bit as she pouted cutely before telling me where to push a little harder.
Right there, Kai. Yes, a little harder.
I gave out a defeated sigh before continuing to massage Marie with tears in my eyes as she let out indecent-sounding moans over and over again. Dear God, please, don't let there be anyone around. I think more than just my reputation is at stake here. Royal Academy, outside the headmistress's office. Oliver's point of view.
Will the headmistress approve the budget requests? I tried to minimize our spending as much as possible, but with how much we've already used for hiring campaign this year, I'm afraid they won't be able to do that. Well, I guess I'll just have to try and ask her. I walked down the hallway towards the headmistress's office with a few documents in hand, just 10 minutes ago. Everyone in the alchemy department offices were nagging me to go get more funding from the headmistress so they could get better materials to use. And all I could hear everyone say was, Professor Barlam this, Professor Barlam that, until I couldn't take it anymore. So I just gave in and drafted up a quick request for the budget increase. I hate to bother the headmistress just before she has to go give the opening speech, but honestly, it's true that the materials we have this year are a little subpar compared to previous years. I was about to reach the door with the headmistress's office and knock on it suddenly. I heard a faint, muffled voices from inside. Right there, Kai. A little harder. I recognized the headmistress's voice coming from inside the office saying a suggestive line, and immediately afterwards I started hearing erotic moans. My face immediately blushed, beet red. I froze in my tracks right outside the office door. After a moment, I decided it was best not to interrupt us, and I turned around and started to suddenly sneak back towards the alchemy department office while trying to clear my mind of all the dirty thoughts. Well, looks like this is a bad time to ask, but who wouldn't have thought the headmistress liked him so young, or that Professor Kai had such special tastes? Well, I shouldn't judge him too much. I guess I can understand why a little bit. I've learned that in normal lifespans for elves are around 300, and with the headmistress just past 100 a few years ago, well, elves might physically reach adulthood at around the same time as humans, but their period as young adults is much longer, around 150 years or so, with 100 years old being around the time that most elves should be married. Headmistress would be around her mid-20s if she translated her age to human terms, so it's only natural that she would be looking to find a partner soon. And after all, she's been alone with Professor Kai in a small office for hours on end every day for the past week, with a handsome young man treating her like she was a queen all day long. Eventually there was bound to be some feelings budding between them, and I guess a younger man would probably be with the headmistress a little longer if he takes a lifespan into account. Anyway, well, they have my blessing for the future should they ever need them. So for now, if anyone asks, my request was rejected by the headmistress due to budget constraints, and I returned immediately afterwards without hearing or seeing anything.
Royal Academy. Headmistress's office. Marie's point of view.
A few minutes had passed since Kai started giving me a massage. The last tingles of pleasure slowly faded as the hands finally stopped. I let out a satisfied breath and lifted my upper body off the desk with such a blissful smile as my originally stiff back now had a slightly springy feel to it. Oh, I feel alive.
Yeah, I do too, now that you've stopped moaning. I thought I heard faint footsteps outside before my heart stopped for a moment.
What are you talking about? I didn't hear anything.
Kai let out a relieved breath as he moved his hand away from his chest and slouched over. Phew, I guess I was really hallucinating then. Anyway, can I go now? I've a class to prepare for, and even if there's only 5 students, it's still a class.
Honestly, I'm surprised you even got 5 students to sign up with how late we opened the registration for your class. All right, you can go for now. We've still got more or less than an hour and a half before the opening ceremony starts.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Kai immediately shot back into an upright posture as all of his energy returned as he started to celebrate. Finally, I'm free at last. Sweet, sweet freedom. He opened the office door, and his maniacal laughter echoed through the hallways as he threw his arms up in the air and stepped out of the room. See you later, you abusive witch.
Kai gave me a shrug, smile, and saluted to me before turning back around. And I don't know why, but I felt my blood pressure rising once I saw how happy he was to leave my side. While a strong urge to wipe that smile off his face rose up inside of me, I unconsciously reached out for the closest thing to my hand, my cup of tea, and enchanted it temporarily with wind magic before chucking it at him. Oh no, I forgot he was manaless.
The teacup was covered in a layer of green mana as it shot towards him like an arrow before nailing him in the back. Kyle fell over face first onto the floor, and the tea spilled all over him, as I immediately ran to his side with a worried expression on my face.
I kneed down next to Kai and flipped his body over in a panic before taking a quick look at his complexion. My hand slipped across his face, pushing his hair out of the way, and I moved closer to get a better look at his slightly pale face. I could feel the warmth from Kai's smooth skin through my hand, and my face tinted a bit pink once. I realized how close I was to his face. Leaning back, I held my hand up to my chest, waited a moment for my rapid heartbeat to calm down once I saw that Kai seemed to be just knocked out. I let a sigh of relief before calling out his name and shaking him slightly to try and waken him up. After a few moments of shaking, he was still out cold, and I gently placed him on the ground before running back to my office to grab a first aid kit. However, as I started to rummage through my cabinets, I heard a faint noise from outside my office. My head snapped around to see Kai laying there with his eyes closed, slowly trying to creep away by pushing himself along the floor, using his arms. After I started staring at him, he slightly opened one eye. Glancing at me for a moment, he closed his eye again before he began to speed up, scooting away on the floor. My face went fully red from the mixture of anger and embarrassment as I ran over, kicking at him to make him stop and dragging him back into my office while sighing. Why did I even try to feel concerned about you?
Why did you throw the teacup at me then?
You even used magic. Well, it was a small mistake on my part.
That was attempted murder. I crossed my arm and looked out the window with a tint of embarrassment on my face as I pouted.
Look, I'm sorry, all right? I shouldn't have thrown the teacup at you.
Kai sighed before grabbing his shirt and wringing it as the tea dripped out. Being sorry doesn't fix anything. Look, you even got my favorite shirt wet. How am I supposed to show up to a class like this?
Well, I guess you can borrow one of the student uniforms for now. It's probably better than showing up soaked in tea. There should be a few spares in one of the storage rooms. Kai gave me a sigh before turning around to leave my office again with an exhausted look on his face. I got up and out of my chair and extended my hand towards him before calling out as he walked through the door. "Wait, are you sure that you're okay? If there's anything wrong, just tell me, and I'll take you to the doctor right away."
"It's all right. I'm fine. Don't worry. The only thing I've got going for me is how tough I am."
Kai waved his hand nonchalantly before closing the door behind him. I stood there silently for a few moments and stared at the closed door, and the background noise from outside slowly droned out the faint sound of his footsteps. A strange sense of loneliness started to bubble up inside of me. It felt jarring to finally hear silence in my office again. It kind of felt like someone was missing. Maybe it was just the sound of pages flopping, a pen scratching on paper that I missed, or maybe it was just that I subconsciously expected to hear a familiar voice start complaining about something stupid. But after a few more moments, the feeling faded, and I sat back down in my chair while staring at the ceiling. After a bit, I got up, rummaged through my shelves, pulled out the same speech that I'd used every year for the opening ceremony before returning to my seat to jog my memory. Half an hour passed by in silence. I sat in my desk. I reread the speech before I heard someone knocking on my office door. "Come in." The door opened. My office sounded out while a young elven girl with short blonde hair, sky-blue eyes, and a pair of red-rimmed glasses timidly walked into my office. She was wearing a Royal Academy student's uniform, a light green blazer with Academy emblems sewn onto it, and a black shirt and a red tie. I immediately recognized her when she walked into my office with a sly smile as my spirits were immediately lifted. The young girl standing in front of me was my older brother's daughter, my niece, Rena Seilfried. She was one of the new incoming students of the Golden Generation this year, and even without my help, her talent had proficiency in magic had gave her one of the highest scores of the magical abilities this year. "Is that you, Rena?" "Hi, Aunt Marie. How are you?" "I'm here to visit." My face immediately turned into a beaming smile once I saw my favorite niece, and I got out of my chair and led Rena to sit down. "I'm doing fine. In fact, I'm better now than ever. Come in, take a seat. We have tons to talk about. And by the way, how are your parents doing?" "Oh, they've been well. Thanks for asking." "That's great. You seem to be doing better, too. Looks like letting you work as a receptionist at the Adventurers Guild these past few summers was a good idea. You look like you're a bit more confident now. So, have you decided on what class you want to take?" "You still haven't chosen? Then just pick whatever class you want right now. Don't worry about whether or not the registration is closed. I'll find a way to get you in." "Oh, it's okay, Aunt Mitty. I've already registered for my classes, and there wasn't any problems at all." "Really? Great. What magic class did you take? I'll make sure you are the best professor for that section." Actually, about that, I decided to register in the alchemy department instead." "The alchemy department? Why alchemy? I remember your father told me that you came here to polish up your magic skills." Rena scratched her head and adorably looked away for a moment before looking at me with a rarely seen determinate expression on her face. Well, because of some personal reasons, I've decided that instead of magic, I want to study alchemy. So please let me learn about alchemy here, Aunt Marie." My maternal instincts kicked in, and I saw the determination in Rena's eyes. As I rubbed my cheeks against hers while hugging her, tears flowed out of my eyes. "It's okay, Rena. You can do whatever you want. I'll always support you, no matter what you want to do in the future. So, if you want to be in the alchemy department, you just say the word. I'll come and make sure the department head is the one who personally teaches you. And if there's anything wrong, you come tell me and I'll help you take care of it immediately." "The department head? No, it's fine, Aunt Marie. I already signed up for a class on ancient alchemy, and there's only one professor that teaches that class, right?" "Ancient alchemy. Who was the professor for that again? Oh, wait, Kai. It was Kai. I remember his application, and he specialized in ancient alchemy, which means that Rena is one of the 5 students in his class. I grabbed Rena by the shoulders and looked straight into her eyes with my face turned serious. Rena, I'm telling you right now, drop that class, register for another one. It doesn't matter which one you pick. I'll get you into it, so just choose another class, please. Any class but ancient alchemy. The professor for that class is a reckless lunatic, and you'll definitely get hurt. A lunatic? What are you talking about anyway? My primary choice was ancient alchemy, and I already registered. I can't tell you why, but I have to take this class. I won't take any others. The determined look in Rena's eyes returned, and once I saw it, I knew I wouldn't be able to stop her. I sighed and let go of Rena's shoulders before holding my head in my hands for a moment. What do I do? Should I let her follow her dreams, or should I hold her back on for her own good? On one hand, I want to support her, but with the other hand, her professor is Kai. I guess I'll have to go set Kai straight later then, for Rihanna's sake. All right, if you're dead set, then I'll let you go. Just be careful. I'll need to have a talk with your professor before later, too. Rena's determined look faded as she let out a sigh of relief as I planned out what I would do about Kai. Anyway, enough of that. Let's move on to something else. What's your summer like, Rena? Oh, it was great. Rena's voice drowned out the background noises in the outside as she went into a detail about her summer's working at the Adventurers Guild, and we chatted with each other until it was time for the opening ceremony. Royal Academy. Front gate. Kyle's point of view. I felt the warm summer breeze run over my face as I took a deep breath of the fresh air outside. Students in uniform walked past me on several pathways, and I stood on the lawn while loosely dressed in a similar light green blazer, which had the Royal Academy's emblem sewn over the left crest. As the satchel hung over my shoulder, a relieved breath came from my mouth, and I cracked a small smile before starting to walk around aimlessly with a newfound feeling of freedom. It's been over a millennium, huh? Picturesque scenes of a vibrant school campus filled my eyes as I slowly drifted away from the main roads and picked a spot under a random tree a short distance away from one of the side roads to sit down. The leaves glistened as the summer sunlight steeped through the gaps in the branches, illuminating small spots in the shade. I made my way over silently, took off my satchel, and I plopped down on the base of a tree as I leaned back against the trunk. I sat there for a few moments and stared at the clouds while reminiscing about the past, or at least I would have, if it weren't for those damned couples. Yes, I guess I accidentally wandered into Eliza's domain again, or something, because while there were a fair amount of normal students walking by, there were also a bunch of couples flirting nearby everywhere. Like they were mocking me about my status as an all-powerful arch-wizard. Look, some of them are even sneaking glances at me. I know I should be more mature about this after 1,000 years of being single, but just because I'm an arch-wizard doesn't mean I'm emotionless. I leaned my head backwards to avert my eyes, and I looked at the sky when I heard a voice from behind me. Damn couples. They should all jump off a cliff together. Huh? I glanced around the tree and met face to face with another student sitting down against the opposite side of the tree trunk. He had a slim build, short, spiky green hair, and brown eyes, while his outfit consisted of the student uniform and a pair of glasses with a black rim on the underside of the lenses. The moment I saw him, I sensed a similar feeling from him, and I could tell that he was a true comrade, a wizard in training. I gave him a salute, and I scooted around the tree, sat down next to him, patted his shoulder with the sympathetic tears in my eyes. I understand your pain, comrade. Royal Academy, main campus. Zane's point of view. I sat grumpily under the shade tree
as couples flirted with each other all around me. The aura of love was thick in the air, but unfortunately there was a vacuum in my general area. The expression only built up more and more in me no matter where I looked. There was a couple nearby flirting. Eventually I couldn't handle it anymore, so I finally let out a bit of a bitter soliloquy. Damn couples. They should all just go jump off a cliff together. Stuck in my own little world, I muttered my thoughts to myself. Then suddenly I heard a voice from behind me. Huh? Crap. When did someone get so close? A shock ran through my system as a sense of anxiety invaded my thoughts and cold sweat started running down my back. Did he hear me? Please tell me he didn't hear me. Mechanically, I turned my head to my side, and it was then that I made face-to-face contact with another man who was loosely wearing the student uniform. He had a slightly slender physique, a handsome, pretty boy face, accented by soft amber, almost gold-colored eyes, and long white hair that was tied into a ponytail. Of course, I just had to be the super popular guy, didn't it? Look, I can't even spot a few girls sneaking glances at him in the background. Oh, I guess my reputation is done for. Everyone will hear about my true colors within a week. My academy debut hasn't even started yet. And of all the people to overhear me, why did it have to be someone like him? My anxiety finally overcame my reason, as I was about to start begging the other guy to keep it quiet about what he'd heard, when suddenly he saluted me with tears in his eyes before scooting over next to me, patting me on the shoulder. I understand your pain, comrade. Wait, what? The unexpected series of events brought me back from the pit of despair I was in. And once I regained my clarity in mind, I sensed it. It was an unthinkable anomaly, but somehow I felt familiar wavelengths from him. It was the same one that I had, the wavelength of someone cursed by the goddess of love. Impossible, couldn't it be? Despite your looks, you're actually a fellow wizard? Trust me, I'm already beyond the level of archwizard. You know, sometimes I wonder to myself, why are the wee wizards still here? Just to suffer? Just to live out our lives being mocked by those happy couples around us? You feel it too, don't you? Tears spilled out of my eyes, too, as I extended my arm out to grab the hand of the manly handshake. Yeah, I never thought I'd find another wizard out here. My name is Zane. What's yours? That's Kyle. But you can just call me Kai for short. Nice to meet you, comrade. Yeah, nice to meet you, too. So, you new here? Yeah, I just started this year. Really, me too. Well, actually, to tell you the truth, I only really enrolled in the Royal Academy because my two best friends did. I don't even know what they decided to come here for. But as for me, I have a goal that I definitely have to accomplish in my time here. Yeah, what's that? Flames started burning in my eyes as I pumped myself up again and remembered my one true purpose for coming here. By the time I graduate from the academy, I'll definitely get a cute girlfriend and escape from the cursed path of two wizardom. I'll do it. I'll become a winner in life and become a popular guy. As I made my proclamation to ascend into the popular guy status, Kai grabbed my shoulder again, wiped the tears from his face with another arm. Become a popular guy, huh? To escape from the path of wizardom as long as it's a long and perilous journey. But I can already tell from the burning resolve in your eyes. You're going to fight it till the end. So you know what? I believe in you, Zane. Yeah, I swear I'll get it out, even if it's the last thing I do. The background noise slowly blended in with our conversation as I sat in the shade next to Kai. We chatted with each other about our experiences as wizards for the next hour before the opening ceremony started. Royal Academy, main campus. Kyle's point of view. The sounds of a page being flopped sounded into the almost empty campus as I sat alone reading a book under the tree. The opening ceremony started a while ago, and Zane left to meet up with his friends while I sat here passing the time until classes started. The surroundings blended together as I was enthralled by the romance novel that I'd picked up from the library earlier this month, when suddenly a loud bell started ringing, and it brought me back to my senses. I stared around to see if anybody was nearby and waited until the ringing stopped, and then went straight back to my book afterwards. However, after reading through another page in my book, I felt like I was forgetting something important. Wait, wasn't that the bell signaling for something? Oh, what did Mari say it was again? Oh, right. I'm supposed to ring at the start of the semester. Oh, wait. That means the semester started already. Crap, I'm going to be late for class. I slammed the book shut before chucking it back into my satchel and swinging it over my shoulder as I ran into the school building. What room did Professor Barlam say was mine again? Room 208? No, wait, it was 207? Oh. I ran through the empty main hallway before jumping up the stairs and turning right into another empty hallway. As I sprinted down the hallway on the second floor, I glanced at the signs above the doors looking at the classrooms. 204, 205, 206. There, 207. I stopped in my tracks before grabbing the door to the classroom, thrusting it open, my legs propelling me forward as I stumbled into a room while glancing around. The classroom was built like a small lecture hall. It was a blackboard behind a large desk in the front of the room, with 4 rows of long tables facing the blackboard. There was a slightly lively atmosphere in the room, as I saw 5 students sitting in the front row, which meant I was the last one to arrive. Next to the window, there were 2 girls, dressed in student uniforms, smiling and talking to each other. One of them had a long, silky black hair and dark purple eyes, while the other one had short blonde hair, her blue eyes covered by a pair of red-rimmed glasses, and had pointed ears, which showed off that she was an elf. On the other side of the room, there were 3 boys, talking amongst themselves. One of them had a head of black hair and similarly colored black eyes, along with a kind of smile on his face from another one that had a grumpy look on his face, blue hair, and sharp green eyes. However, the last one was actually someone I recognized. It was Zane. Crap, I'm late, aren't I? All eyes to the room turned to stare at me as I sighed, and the blonde elf girl suddenly held her head down while Zane called out to me cheerfully. Hey, Kai, you're in this class too? What a coincidence. Anyway, don't worry, you're not late. The professor hasn't even shown up yet. I sighed, walked over to the desk in the front of the room, threw my satchel down on top of the desk, and took a seat in the chair as I slouched backwards. Of course the professor hasn't shown up yet. I'm the professor. Eh? Zane had a dumbfounded look on his face as I waved my hand around at the class and gave them a lackluster greeting. All right, everyone. Welcome to Ancient Alchemy 101. I'm Professor Kyle.